Magandang araw po sa inyo. Welcome po sa isa na namang episode ng online series ni Inang Pamantasan kung saan ang pagkatuto ay walang hangganan. Ito ang PNU Talks. Ako nga po pala si Iona Ofelia B. Zanoria from Philippine Normal University South Luzon at ako ang inyong magiging learning from home buddy sa episode na ito. Ngayong araw, tatalakayin po natin ang cyber spirituality in the 21st century. But before we go to that, I would like to encourage everyone to comment your thoughts, your questions, and reactions in our comment box. And at the same time, huwag niyo pong kakalimutan na i-like at i-share ang video na ito. So again, we will be talking about cyber spirituality in the 21st century. So before anything else, I just want to share with you the message of Pope John Paul II with the title, Internet, a New Forum for Proclaiming the Gospel in 2002. So sabi dito, the internet causes billions of images to appear on millions of computer monitors around the planet. From this galaxy of sight and sound, will the face of Christ emerge and the voice of Christ be heard? So with this line from Pope John Paul II, if we will reflect into this one, di ba? Marami nga naman talagang mensahe at imahe ang lumalabas no sa internet. At ang tanong dito, paano nga ba ito nakakaapekto sa atin bilang tao at paano ito nakakaapekto sa iba? So we will look into this one through the lens of cyber theology. So we will be using the two poles of the theology. The first one is the contemporary human experience or the cyber culture. How are we as a human being in the cyber world? And at the same time, we will compare it with a Judeo-Christian tradition. So before anything else, let us define cyberspace first. So cyberspace is a metaphor for describing the non-physical terrain created by computer systems. Online systems, for example, create a cyberspace within which people can communicate with one another via email, do research, or simply window shop. So in cyberspace, this is a space for us wherein we connect with people without doing it actually physically or in person. Now, especially now in the time of pandemic na we do things in the cyber world. We do online shop, we do order food via the applications that we have in our mobile phones, we do our research, and we do our work and our class via online or with the cyberspace. Now let's look at internet access and digital divide. When we talk about internet access and digital divide, this is the issue that we have actually right now, especially nung nagkaroon ng first wave or first part ng pandemic no, na kung saan, especially with the students, very evident ang digital divide because there are people who actually doesn't have the gadget that they can use for their online class. And at the same time, yung internet provision din ng mga networks and ng mga companies is not that good, no? So kung makikita natin, it is something that really affects our life, especially nung transition tayo from the physical activities to the online activities that we have. So the question now is internet access a human right? Well, as you can see, UN declares internet freedom as a basic human right. So yes, internet access is a human right. Right to communication has been recognized as universal basic right because its fulfillment on the personal and social level is necessary to enjoy other rights. So kung babalikan natin kanina, yung ating internet access and digital divide, makikita natin na malaki palang epekto yon sa karapatan natin bilang tao ang pagkawala ng internet connection at ang pagkawala ng gadget kasi hindi natin na-enjoy yung ating karapatan in terms of education, in terms of information, and in terms of expression. However, as I said a while ago, that internet is known or declared as basic human right. Let us also remember that in every right, there is a responsibility. Sa bawat karapatan ay mayroong pananagutan. Okay, so makikita natin, so going back to this one, right versus responsibility, as we enjoy our right with the use of internet, there are people na makikita natin that they display different behaviors in the internet na kung saan they really affect other people as well. So for example, sinasabi dito na women on the receiving end of the graphic sexual violence on the net have been reported being traumatized by the experience. So there are studies na kung saan may mga kababaihan na nakakatanggap ng threats ng sexual assault in the internet, and then nakakaapekto sa kanila psychologically. So when they receive it, they actually feel traumatized, and it really affect their self-esteem. So many may turn off their computers or leave a chat area if they feel attacked. They often have trouble shaking the memory that a stranger at a far off computer terminal wanted to hurt them. So it's actually something that it's hard to imagine that a person that you do not know or is someone that is far from you would really have the intention to hurt you or to be violent with you. So what people would do, especially in things that in event like this, they would simply turn off their computers or leave the chat area. However, hindi natin maiiwasan na kung saan evident na naapektuhan yung pagtingin ng tao sa sarili niya. For example, with this one, if you saw this one as a message to you, sinasabi dito, I will rape you until you bleed from your ass and beg you for mercy. What will you feel? Ano ang mararamdaman mo kapag nakatanggap ka ng ganitong mensahe? Surely you will not feel good about it. Surely you will be offended. Surely you will be hurt. But actually, ito yung mga nangyayari ngayon sa cyberspace na kung saan yung mga tao, it's easy for them to say bad things towards other people. Okay, so for example, actually it's an event that really happened. As you can see in this one, Kolkata man who sent outrageous rape threat to a woman on Facebook arrested. Yung pinost ko kanina, yung pinakita ko sa inyong post kanina, it's actually a real life situation na kung saan may nag-post ng ganon, nag-send ng message na ganon sa isang babae in Kolkata, and then nahuli siya. Kasi it's a form of threat kung tutuusin, So makikita natin that people are really very what do you call this? Pero masasabi natin yung mga tao ay may lakas ng loob na ngayon na gumawa ng masama laban sa iba. Maybe because of anonymity, maybe because of being stranger, na kung saan akala nila it's as easy as saying, pero hindi nila alam na nakakaapekto na pala to sa ibang tao. Okay, another one. Okay, this one is a post from Agniswar Chakraborty. So it's for you to read, but then as you can see in the first part, sinasabi niya, I think it's a thread on Facebook na may nag-post and then nag-reply siya. Ang sabi niya, I will rape you until you bleed. Okay? And then, sige, basahin nyo na lang yung post na to and see for yourself and check yourself on how will you feel kung kayo ang sinabihan nito. But then, many people would still say that this is just a pure fantasy. Nakakalungkot isipin na may mga tao na tumitingin sa mga ipinopost natin sa social media na pure fantasy lang. But according to Jake Baker, his fiction is in reality nothing more than words floating in space. So whatever it is that we post online is actually a reality. No, it's not merely words that are floating in the space. So whatever it is that we post online, whatever it is that we say, we cannot simply say na, ay nasabi ko lang yun eh. It's actually something that we really want to do and we really intend to do. I am reminded of a verse from Luke 6:45. Sinasabi doon, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Pero ngayon, in the cyber world, makikita natin na i-tweak lang natin ng konti itong verse na to, no? Parang sinasabi na, for out of the abundance of the heart, it is posted on social media. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Whatever it is that we post on social media, no matter what emotions that we post on social media, it is something that we really desire. It is something that is really in our hearts. It is something that we really feel. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin, ay wala lang yun, no? Ito yung mga bagay na kung saan nararamdaman talaga natin or totoo sa atin. Ito yung mga unvoiced messages natin. Sometimes, because there are people who cannot simply say what they feel in person. So what they do, they post it in social media. Or yung iba naman, ay yung lakas ng loob nila ay kapag nasa likod sila or nasa harap sila ng laptop nila or ng phones nila. No? So again, for out of the abundance of the heart, it is posted on social media. With that, let us look into the difference between real world versus physical world. There are people who look into the activities in the internet as virtual world. No, parang sinasabi nila na hindi naman totoo yan. As, for example, if you play different games online, no, yung mga virtual world na pinapasukan natin, well, I'm not into games kasi, no? So, hindi ko masyado ma-elaborate. But for those who are into games, I believe that you can relate with me, no? In virtual world, you have your own world, you have your own identity, you have your own power. You are actually empowered with your in your virtual world. But then, as you can see, let us identify the real world and the physical world. And kung mapapansin natin, walang pagkakaiba yung real world at saka yung physical world. Hindi natin sila pwedeng compare. Why? Because what we need to see is that physical world and virtual world, magkaiba sila. Iba yung nangyayari sa katotohanan ng buhay, iba yung nangyayari sa virtual world. There are things that is happening in the virtual world that we cannot really actually do in real life. And there are things that we want to do in real life that is actually happening, no, in a virtual world. For example, in real life, hindi ka naman basta-basta yumayaman, ano, with the things that you are simply doing. Pero in virtual world, for example, yung activity is planting. Kapag nagtanim ka ng nagtanim, tapos nag-harvest ka, ang bilis lang kumita ng pera. But in real life, hindi ganon. No? So, kailangan nating ma-identify at saka ma-differentiate ano nga ba yung physical world at ano nga ba yung virtual world. So, we have to identify that. We have to differentiate that. Why? Because there are people who actually cannot differentiate virtual world and physical world. So, for example, this Romanian boy, a 15-year-old Romanian boy, has killed his adoptive mother after she refused to pay the internet bills. Imagine that. So, Ionut Silviu Stavin, who is known to be dependent on video games, stabbed his adoptive parent 17 times before leaving to play Counter-Strike at a local internet cafe. So I think this one happened in 2016, or 2010, so something like that, na kung saan hindi na niya makita o hindi na niya ma-identify yung difference between real world and virtual world. Imagine, no? Dahil sa galit niya sa nanay niya dahil hindi nagbayad ng internet bills, sinaksak niya yung nanay niya 17 times, and after that, pumunta siya sa local computer cafe to play Counter-Strike. And we all know that playing Counter-Strike is the same as what he did to his mother. So in the internet, makikita natin, diba, word without flesh versus world became flesh. Or sorry, it's word became flesh. It's not world became flesh. So makikita natin that in the internet, words are something that we say na akala natin ay wala lang, no? Akala natin we do not hurt people with what we say in the internet. We do not hurt people online. Akala natin ganon, no? Well, actually, it is word became flesh. Why? Because whatever it is that we post online, whatever it is that we say online is something that is affecting other people also who are reading it actually. No? So the anonymity, the mobility, akala natin the anonymity, the mobility has no impact on real bodies. Well, in reality, meron siyang malaking epekto sa tao na nakakabasa o nakaka-encounter ng mga words na sinasabi natin online. So, makikita natin na in the internet, cyber violence is also rampant, no? So, the internet violence, I think this one is a study in 2019 na kung saan 73% of women have been exposed to or have experienced online violence. No, 23% of women reported being blamed for the cyber violence done to them. Imagine, sila na nga yung victim, sila pa yung nasisi. And 20% of women feel that the internet is inappropriate for them. And women are 27 times more likely than men to be abused online. So makikita din natin dito that even in the internet, mas vulnerable at mas na-abuse yung mga kababaihan. So in cyber violence, we have to look into the difference between real world and virtual world. Again, may mga tao kasi na tinitingnan ang internet na kung saan ay virtual lang naman yan, hindi naman yan totoo, no? Nasabi ko lang naman yan. Pero kung mapapansin natin, meron itong apekto in the spirit and in the psychological aspect of the person na ina-attack natin. So, user versus the computer. So what is the relationship of the user and the gadget, no, that we are using? And it's a difference between the physical and non-physical. There are things that we thought na hindi naman kasi physical yung approach o hindi naman kasi physically nasaktan yung tao. Well, makikita din natin even in your own experience when you browse your Facebook, for example, or Twitter or Instagram, makikita natin that there are attacks online na kahit hindi directed sa'yo, naaapektuhan ka. So even though that it is not physical, it is something that is affecting you also. All right, this is a recent study, especially during the pandemic, na kung saan lahat transitioned from the physical space into the online space, no? Na kung saan lahat ay kailangan gumamit ng gadget because of their work, because of their school, and because of their communication with people. So according to the study, I think I got this from Rappler, according to the study, 68% of girls and young women in the Philippines have experienced online harassment on social media. So when we talk about online harassment, halo-halo na to, pwedeng physical, pwedeng violence, pwedeng sexual harassment, no? Pwedeng physical discrimination, no? So iba-ibang klase na ng harassment ito. So because of that, because of the harassment that is actually happening in the cyber world, because of the things that are happening in the cyber world and in our community, there is a need to reimagine our relationship with the technology. Ano nga ba yung relasyon natin sa teknolohiya? Ano nga ba yung ugnayan natin sa teknolohiya? At paano ba natin ginagamit yung teknolohiya? So we thought that in the internet, it is an escape of the myth, it is bodiless. Akala natin, when we talk about the virtual world, it is actually wide, no? Malawak ang mundo na ginagalawan natin sa cyberspace. Akala natin, it is bodiless. Ibig sabihin, it's not physical, no? It is an escape of the myth. So for example, when people are engaging into pornography, sinasabi nila na, ay, mas okay na ito kasi nakita ko naman sa internet kaysa naman sa nanilip ako. Well, kung mapapansin natin, hindi nga niya nahawakan o hindi nga niya nakita in person yung pinapanood niya, pero same impact pa rin, no? Yung nangyayari nun sa tao na gumagawa nun. Okay, so because of that, let us understand that in the cyber world, let us understand that we are also cyborgs. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng cyborgs? Cyborgs are known as cybernetic organism, hybrid of machine and organism. So bakit natin nasabi na cyborg tayo? Actually, there's a study that we can be considered as cyborg because it is mentioned, di ba? Hybrid of machine and organism. If you will reflect on it, we are actually controlled by the technology that we have. When we wake up in the morning, we look for our phone, we check the time, we check we browse the email or kaya naman we browse anything that we want in the internet, no, na kung saan lahat ng ginagawa natin ay nakadepende na sa gadget natin. It's our diary, it's our calendar, it's our work, it's our study. It is where we conduct research, anything, even the food that we need to eat or we want to eat, doon din natin kinukuha. No? So ibig sabihin, nakaka-apekto sa atin o malaki yung epekto sa atin ng paggamit ng teknolohiyang ito, no? Na kung saan tayo na yung kinokontrol ng technology na ito, hindi na tayo nabubuhay apart from our technology that we have. No? So for example, actually, I have an example here of a real-life cyborg. So Neil Harbison, he's born with achromatopsia. Achromatopsia. Na kung saan he's born without the ability to see the colors. So he decided to have a gadget installed in him to hear colors. So this is how a cyborg works, na kung saan meron siyang machine na naka-attach sa kanya para mag-function siya sa mga bagay na gusto niya gawin. So we are a cyborg. This is actually from Donna Haraway in her work, A Cyborg Manifesto in 1985. Sabi niya doon, the machine is us, our processes, an aspect of our embodiment. So ibig sabihin, even though we look at the technology as simple materials or a simple thing na binibili lang natin o kaya naman ay ginagamit natin, at the end of the day, if you will reflect into it, hindi tayo nabubuhay o kaya naman hindi tayo nakikilos without this gadget, no? Nakadepende yung buhay natin. It might be exaggerated, but it's actually happening right now. Nakadepende yung buhay natin sa gadget na meron tayo. So in short, tayo ay sumasa teknolohiya. We are one with the technology. So we can say that we cannot be really separated with the technology that we have. Okay, but the question is, as cyborgs, if the spirit dwells in us and do we reflect God's image, bilang cyborg, bilang mga tao na kung saan nakadepende yung buhay natin at kilos natin sa mga machine, sa mga gadget na meron tayo. Sa palagay ninyo, do you still reflect God's image? Sabi sa Bible, we are created through the likeness and image of God. So if we are created through the likeness and image of God, and we are one with the technology, therefore, kailangan nare-reflect din natin yung image and likeness ni God sa technology na ginagamit natin. So let's look this is interesting. Let us look at the 10 Commandments and ano nga ba yung response ng mga cyborgs na katulad natin, no? Sa 10 Commandments na ito. Okay, number 1. Commandment number 1, you shall not have other gods before me. But if you will look into it, and if you will reflect on it, kapag sinabi mong God, I believe when we talk about God, God is someone that someone who we can rely on, someone who we spend time with, 'di ba? No, someone who gives us direction. But the question is, sino ba yung ginagawa nating God in this generation? No? So, I do not know if you will agree with me, but sometimes I am guilty about this also, no? So, there are people who actually see God, okay? Or tinatratong Diyos itong mga applications na to. We have TikTok, Netflix, and Facebook. Question, how much time do you spend on these applications and how does it affect your life? Sige nga po. 'Di ba, no? Na kung saan, well, I understand that sometimes we use it to distress, sometimes we use it para pampalipas oras, but there are people who are actually addicted to it. Na kung saan parang doon na umiikot yung buhay nila, doon parang doon na lang sila nagsuspend ng time, no? So, ayun. Number 2, you shall not make any engraven images. Okay? So, sinasabi dito na wag daw tayong magkaroon ng engraven images. Well, this one is not an engraven image. Sorry if I use BTS. But we are really into idolism na kung saan masyado tayong what do you call, excited. We are into idols na we really use them as wallpaper. Bumibili pa tayo ng posters nila. But the question is, who do you behold? It is written in Psalm 17:15, as for me, I shall behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with beholding thy form. So anong ibig sabihin? We become someone na kung saan siya yung palagi nating nakikita o siya yung palagi nating tinitingnan. Anong ibig sabihin nun? We become someone na kung saan, kanina 'di ba tinatanong natin kung kanino ka nagsuspend ng time o kung gaano katagal yung pag-suspend mo ng time doon sa mga application. So same thing, it is our relationship with God. So if we see God, okay, kung tinitingnan natin ang Diyos bilang Diyos at nagsuspend tayo ng oras sa Kanya, we just become like Him. Okay? But with this one, you shall not make any engraven images. Kapag gumagawa tayo ng mga Diyos-Diyosan natin, well, hindi man literally na nagiging kamukha natin sila, but then your actions nila, yung mga beliefs nila, yun na yung ginagaya natin, na kung saan hindi naman talaga dapat. Diba? Alright, number 3. Okay. You shall not use the name of the Lord in vain. Okay? But look at how people use the name of the Lord in vain, especially in social media. So for example, this is a post that I saw online. So what's God's last name? So sinasabi nila, damn it. Okay? Tapos there are people also who use the name of God to swear, okay, or to curse someone. So if you will check on my presentation, mababasa niyo yun, ano? Okay. Next. Okay, bumalik. Sorry. All right, number 4. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Well, nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, lahat naman nag-transition from the physical gathering, from socialization and all, into online, no? Pero before, mapapansin natin na may mga tao na nasa simbahan, pero makikita mo, nag-Facebook lang, nag-Twitter lang, nag-Instagram lang. So, ano ba sinasabi natin dito? We have to remember the day of the Lord and keep it holy, but there are people who use it in other way, no? Mas binibigyan ng pansin yung, mas nagsuspend ng time sa mga applications, no? Mas nagsuspend ng time doon sa mga ginagawa online or sa social media. Pero ngayon, okay, in fairness, sa panahon ngayon, di ba, lahat din naman ng mga churches, di transition into online, na kung saan pwede na tayong mag-attend ng mass online, ng mga services online, no matter what sect or religion it is, lahat nag-transition na din online. All right. So number 5, honor your mother and father. Okay. So honor your mother and father. So actually nakakatuwa na makakita ng mga posts online, how especially kapag Mother's Day o kaya naman kapag Father's Day, na kung saan people are really honoring their parents. But this meme that I saw is funny. So you're about to add your mom as a friend. Say goodbye to privacy, dignity, and respect. No? Na kung saan nagkakaroon kasi din na minsan kasi yung mga parents natin, they meddle with what we post. Actually, okay lang naman yun, ano. But sometimes, may mga tao kasi na nagiging extreme na rin in terms of their relationship with their parents, na they would even curse their parents online. But sinasabi natin dito in commandment number 5 na we should honor our parents. Okay. Nawala yung photos. Pero anyway, in item number 6 or law number 6, you shall not kill. Okay? But makikita natin, lalo na ngayon na mag-e-election, no? In terms of politics, it's easy for say that someone would kill someone because of his political views, na handa siyang manakit para lang ipagtanggol yung kanyang sinusuportahan na na politiko. Okay, so ganito na, may mga tao na ganito nagre-respond, no, na kung saan thou shall not kill, but in the internet it is easy to say that you will kill someone. Why? Because we thought it's just virtual. Akala natin hindi siya realidad. Okay? Pero sa katotohanan, it is real. Okay, it is real and it is something that is possible to happen. All right. Commandment number 7, you shall not commit adultery. Okay? Huwag kang mangangalunya. But then, because of this is how some cyborgs would respond, no? Na kung saan they would use dating apps, for example, no, na kahit pala married yung tao, pagdating sa online dating, they would pretend na siya ay single, he is looking for a relationship, and eventually will lead into a relationship with someone without thinking na, teka lang, meron pala siyang relationship. So they're committing adultery already. Okay. So makikita rin natin na kung saan of course the pornography is there also, no, na kung saan very accessible siya. But I think in the Philippines, may mga site na na-denown, which is I think is good, but there are sites pa din na accessible, no? So we have to be cautious of that also. Okay. Law number 8, you shall not steal. But then I think ito yung naging viral, nabalita rin ito nung mga nakaraan na kung saan, especially when people transition into the online platform, naging madali lang yung pagkokopyahan. Parang simpleng picturean mo nga lang tapos isesend mo doon sa classmates mo o kaya naman copy-paste. Nagiging madali, no? Yung pagnanakaw. Hindi lang yon, pag-grab ng identity, pag-grab ng mga quotes o kaya naman pagbabago ng mga news na nakukuha natin. No? So ito yung mga nangyayari, no, sa cyber world. Okay, hindi lang in terms of copying and pasting articles and journals o kaya naman yung mga sagot. Di ba merong nabalita na online kopyahan na nag-react na rin yung DepEd tungkol dito. Meron din na tungkol sa hacking, no, hinahack yung mga account, hinahack yung not only the social media account, even the bank accounts, no, nagkakaroon na rin ng access, no, in terms of the bank accounts, nakukuha yung identity, yung iba, nakukuha din even the funds. Okay? Okay. Commandment number 9, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Okay, so ibig sabihin, wag daw po tayong magpapalaganap ng fake news. But again, in this season of politics at malapit na ang election, makikita natin na rampant at saka naglalabasan yung mga yung mga fake news. So we have to be critical also. Number 1, you have to check. Teka lang, ano ba itong nabasa ko? You have to double check if it's legit or not before you repost it. Okay? Kasi may mga tao na nakita lang yung meme, nakita lang yung TikTok, nakita lang yung video, na akala na natin real. Hindi natin alam spliced pala yung video. So it's actually spreading fake news. Okay, and law number 10, you shall not covet your neighbor's goods. So, ibig sabihin, huwag natin pagnasaan yung pag-aari ng iba. Huwag natin pagnasaan ang asawa ng ating kapitbahay. So, let's make it simple. Sa social media, because of the things that we see, makikita natin at anong tawag dito, na a-arouse yung actually yung pagiging inggit natin, pagiging inggit natin sa mga nakikita natin online. Pero sinasabi dito na huwag tayong mainggit o huwag nating pangnasaan yung mga bagay na hindi naman sa atin. So there, we have the 10 commandments actually na kung saan tiningnan din natin how the cyborgs or how the people nowadays respond to it or act on it. Ngayon naman, tingnan natin ang okay, nawala na naman yung picture, pero sige, let's move on. Okay, the 2 teachings of Jesus, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So makikita natin actually na kung saan in this world of social media, may mga tao na kung saan they are into selfie, because that is how we love ourselves, di ba? So may mga tao na into selfie, nagpo-post siya ng mga bagay that will make him good or make her feel good. And at the same time, may mga tao rin naman na kung saan they can simply post things on social media that will attack the character. So it's very evident again nowadays, no? Sa panahon ng politika at panahon ng pangangampanya, character assassination is very rampant. Okay? So again, that is how people behave in the cyber world. Okay? That is how people behave in the cyber world. At kung makikita natin at kung pag ninilayan natin, nakakabagabag pala ito, no? Na hindi naman pala siya natin masasabi na ay online lang naman yan eh. Because it is something that is real, it is something that is affecting us in the inside. Okay. So because of that, that I've shared a while ago, let us look into the spirit discourses in the scriptures, highlighting the spirited matter and the image of God as spirited matter. Okay. So, in cyborg spirituality of communication, animism in cybernetic age, titingnan natin, paano ba natin masasabi na our gadget is us, our technology is us, no? Paano ba natin masasabi na um, we really associate, or we can really associate ourselves with the gadget that we have? So number one, in the Philippines, we associate things with ourselves. Anong ibig sabihin nun? May mga bagay tayo, may mga gamit tayo na kung saan we really give um we really give ourselves to the thing. Ano ibig sabihin? Talagang binibigay natin yung love natin sa gamit natin, yung care natin sa for example, a car. Okay, for example, a car or a motorcycle. If you have a car or if you have a motorcycle, I don't know with you, pero ito ay um uh, very in, or lagi ko itong naririnig sa mga friends ko, especially if they get a new car, nagbibigay sila ng pangalan sa mga sasakyan nila. No? So, depende kung anong sasakyan. For example, yung isa kong friend, yung sasakyan niya ay, I forgot the type and body or the model of the car, pero naalala ko yung pangalan ng car niya ay red. Okay, when I asked her, bakit red yung pangalan niya? Kulay silver yung kotse. Ang sabi niya, silver is the color of redemption, and shinorten niya kaya daw red. So, siya bilang Kristiyano, isinasabuhay niya talaga yung idea that she is redeemed. So, she associated her identity as redeemed of the Lord with the car na meron siya. Kaya niya pinangalanan na red. Diba? So, parang gano'n, ano. Even for an example, I have a motorcycle, and it's Yamaha Henyo, and I call my motorcycle as Gene. So, Gene. Why? Because it came from the word Henyo, and at the same time, halos kapangalan siya ng lolo ko, no? Na kung saan pinangalan ko siya sa lolo ko kasi yung nung time na nabili ko yung motor ko, yun yung time na nawala na rin yung lolo ko. So parang na-associate ko yung motorcycle ko sa lolo ko. So my lolo is Henaro. No? So Jean Henaro. So parang na-associate ko. So again, in the Philippines, we associate things with ourselves. Okay? With our phones or laptop, we personalize and customize it with our pictures or someone that represents us. So, for example, no, especially nung mga panahon na Nokia yung in demand ng mga gadget. 'Di ba? Dumating pa sa point na palagi tayo nagpapalit ng casing, depende sa favorite color natin o kaya sa mood natin. Sa 3310 or kahit ano pang Nokia phones before, meron kang customized na logo na pangalan mo o kaya symbol mo. Okay? So, ganun natin tinitingnan yung mga gamit na meron tayo. And this one, we can stand without our gadgets or not being connected 24/7. So, madali tayong mainis kapag walang connection, 'di ba? O kaya pag nawala yung phone natin, feeling natin a part of our being is lost also. So nalulungkot tayo hindi dahil sa gadget itself, but because it's not because of the economic value of the gadget, but because of the value of the gadget na kung saan yung mga memories, which is priceless. Yung mga memories, yung mga tawag dito, mga files na meron ka, yung mga even the bank transactions nandun na din, ano. So we can't really stand without our gadget or not being connected 24/7. Okay, so spirited matter in the scriptures, cyborg as an imago Dei. So, kanina sabi ko, 'di ba, we are created through the likeness and image of God. So if we are created through the likeness and image of God, And kung sinasabi din na we are one with our technology, it is expected that we reflect the image of God in the cyber world, okay, through the technology that that we use. So, we look into the Spirit as Spirit of God or Holy Spirit. I-identify lang natin siya, no? Or i-define lang natin siya. So, Spirit, Spirit of God or Holy Spirit. When we talk about Spirit with a small s, it's part of human body, separable from the flesh or the visible body and or animating body. So, it's person's disposition or what we call ruach. Ibig sabihin, it's spirit or good or evil angels. And ruach is actually a spirit exists everywhere. So, when we talk about spirit, okay, ito daw yung mga, ito daw yung spirito na kung saan, uh, makikita na, well, hindi natin siya makikita, no? Ito yung spirito na kung saan ay nasa lahat ng bagay na meron tayo. When we talk about spirit with a capital S naman, it's the Spirit of God who dwells within us also. Okay, so what the Bible say about it, okay? Us being a cyborg and the Spirit of God that is in us. So, sinasabi that humans are made in God's image. In Genesis 1:27, ito yung paulit-ulit kong sinasabi kanina that we are created to the likeness and image of God. Ibig sabihin, kung tayo ay nilikha ayon sa kanyang wangis, kung ano ang kanyang nature bilang Diyos, is something that we should also reflect or should also be reflected in us. And if we are one with the technology, if you are one with the technology, therefore, it is also, whatever it is, whatever image na meron ang Diyos na dapat ay nasa atin is the same image that we also reflect in the cyber world through the technology that we are using. Okay, human receives God's breath in Genesis 2, verse 7, and however, in the discourse of the spirit image that we find in the Spirit of God indwelling, vivifying not only in humans but all matter. So sinasabi din na kung saan when we talk about Spirit of God or the spirit or the image of God, it's not only a seen in human beings. Okay? But also in all matters, sa lahat ng bagay, the Spirit of God is in all things. Okay po? Alright. So, sige. So, the bottom line, number 1, man is created to the likeness and image of God. Okay? So, again, paulit-ulit kong sinasabi, no, na kung saan, kung ang Diyos ay, kung ano man ang katangian ng Diyos at tayo ay nilikha na tulad ng Diyos o kawangis ng Diyos, dapat sumasalamin din sa ating activity online in the cyber world, okay, with the technology that we have because we're in the technology, no? So, nasasalamin siya dapat. Okay? Number 2, our relationship with the cyber world is the extension of who we are and our relationship with the technology. So what activities that we do online is something that is real. Okay, hindi natin siya pwedeng sabihin na ay virtual lang naman yan. It is something that is real because it is our extension. Okay, it is the extension of us. All right, and number 3, we are cyborgs because of our relationship with the technology. So, well, hindi man tayo cyborg in terms of naka-install sa atin yung mga machine or gadget para mag-function tayo, we can be considered as cyborg again because we are dependent with the technology and with the gadget that we have. Okay, the Spirit is in us and in all matters. So, ang Spirito ng Diyos at ang Spirito ay nasa atin at nasa lahat ng bagay na nasa paligid natin. And because of that, okay, because of that, we should be the cyborgs of Christ in the internet. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan nating sinasalamin, okay, ang Panginoon o si Kristo, no, sa internet. The question now is, what do you post? What are your behaviors online? How do you react with people that you encounter with online? Paano ka nakikipag-ugnayan sa mga tao kapag nasa cyber world ka? Again, we should be the cyborgs of Christ in the internet. So with that, marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat. I hope that you learned something from this session. If you have questions, clarifications, or violent reaction, just simply type it in our comment box, okay? And we'll try to answer it, okay? So, yun lamang po. Maraming salamat and God bless you all.